Welcome to MSP Voice, a weekly show that brings you information from MSPs for MSPs. This is MSP Voice. Okay, welcome everybody. This is MSP Voice. This is episode 2. Today I'm joined by Jeff Putnam from the PC Wizard. So hello, Jeff. Why don't you give us an introduction? Tell us about yourself.
Great, thanks, Doug. I appreciate it. My name is Jeff Putnam, owner of the PC Wizard. Been doing this for about 25 years now. We have started out very small. We're still a small company, about 5 different people here. We're not a large MSP by any means, but we get the job done for our customers and try and work with their best interest in mind.
Okay, so kind of what led you into the managed services, or the kind of business that you do?
The writing on the wall, really. I mean, 5 to 6 years ago, it was obvious that people who aren't getting recurring revenue are going to die. I mean, those businesses are going to go away. The break fix stuff, which we still do, is important, but the recurring services are where the future is at. I mean, you can see the software vendors doing it now. Microsoft forces you into subscription services for everything now, Adobe as well. So we saw that happening and started to position ourselves to better take advantage of that.
Yeah, I saw someone complaining on Reddit the other day that they just want to buy software. They don't want to rent it. They don't want to do this monthly or even yearly subscription. They just want to buy it and own it. And it's frustrating because most vendors today don't allow for that.
No, and that the Microsoft decision coming down the line to prevent you from owning your own copy of Microsoft Outlook to use Office 365 is not going to be pretty.
Yeah. So I guess how did you get into business? Did you have an IT career first, or did you just kind of jump right into this? What led you down this path?
So it's a funny story. My first foray into IT was when I was 14. I mean, I've been working with it before, but when I was 14, I had an appointment at a client's house, literally a mile from here. Pulled up to the appointment, he had a bad printer. And we get out of the car. My father had to drive me because I was only 14 years old. We get out of the car, we walk in, and the guy at the front door goes, "Oh, thanks, this is great. You brought your son along with you to learn what you're doing." And we had to tell him that the 14-year-old was fixing the printer. So, we started very basic. It was just me. I was doing things, when I was in high school. Once I was old enough to own a company, we registered the LLC, and that became the PC Wizard LLC.
Wow.
And from there, I went to school. I did college, did a business entrepreneurship degree, just because I felt that, I had the IT background from doing it, but I needed the basics of accounting, of law, of marketing. So in entrepreneurship, they make you take the first couple of classes and everything. So when you go to meet an accountant at the end of the year, you at least understand what he's saying. You can't do his job for him, obviously, but when you have those types of situations crop up, you can meet with these professionals and feel somewhat comfortable with the content.
Yeah. And now, do you still work? Does your dad still work with you?
He does. He actually is our cloud services. You've talked to Steve. He's the guy in charge. He actually brought us to Cloudberry, to be honest. It was one of the best moves we ever made.
Okay, great. And you mentioned earlier that you kind of transitioned from break fix, although you still do a little bit of it. And you probably still do that. But how was the transition? I know you mentioned it earlier that you had to go to recurring revenue streams instead of just break fix. But and you came to that realization. But was there something in the process that made it easy, or was it difficult? Tell us about your experience doing that.
It's been a difficult process, really, because we started with, as you know, one person, and we've accumulated small clients. I mean, most small businesses work with small IT vendors, and the large guys, 300 or 400, want teams of people. It's hard to be a 4-person shop and have a customer with 700 employees. So we started with such the break fix that we always would tell our clients along the way, look, you don't want somebody on contracts because it doesn't make sense. I mean, that was 20 years ago when things were very different. But that challenge has been moving from break fix to, hey, you need to do these things to protect your business. We're just in a totally different climate now. The security breaches and things, and having people watch over your shoulder to make sure that you're protected is an important piece now. And it's hard to convert people's thinking from, hey, well, you told me 20 years ago we didn't need to do that. And 20 years ago, we didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
So that conversion rate it just takes time because people are, a 3 and 4 person mom and pop shop like us, really. are hesitant to understand the need for those services, but it's been happening over the last 4 or 5 years, and with Office 365 and people understanding the whole subscription model, that has actually helped us because it lets them understand I have to move to start paying things, to stay up to date.
Mm-hmm. And then, so you mentioned SMB. That's your kind of typical customer? Do you specialize in any particular vertical? Is it like all dentist office, doctor's office type situations, or what's your kind of average customer?
Our average customer is probably 10 to 15 employees. We have a ton of dental offices, like you said. The medical offices are harder now because they're all owned by the local hospitals. We used to do a lot of small practitioners, and that's going away because the hospital comes in, makes them partner with them, and then you have the hospital's IT department. We have a lot of those small companies that they may do some small manufacturing, real estate, a lot of accountants and attorneys, the people who need help and aren't big enough to have their own in-house staff. And we've started to move to providing upper tier support for the larger companies. We have a customer with 500 employees that we do their emergency support. So when they have something their guys can't figure out, or a large project, an Office 365 migration that their guys can certainly do, but we can do it much more efficiently because we do it 10 times a month.
Okay.
A lot of those transitions in our client base have occurred. We start to move towards larger customers, but we have not ignored the people who got us where we were. We still do some residential break fix because that's how we got here.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. What about, I guess, the kind of software that used to run the business? Things like PSA and RMM. Do you have tools that you've standardized on, you've standardized all your customers on, or how's that look?
We do. We've moved everybody. All of our RMM is now the current SolarWinds Max line. It used to be GFI Logic Now, and that has worked out very well for us. A lot of flexibility. The pricing is reasonable. It's reasonable enough that we can make a lot of the smaller customers understand and have it be affordable for them. So that's a big plus. As far as the PSA, we're now moving to Repair Shopper. We're too small for we looked at ConnectWise and things. Fantastic products, but you read the Reddit posts and things on that, and they say, it takes a year to get that to work right with a team of 6 people. But it's fantastic software when you look at the demo. But there's one person who does 4 or 5 steps in ConnectWise here. We don't have a purchasing department and an acquisitions department, so we're small. And as a result, that became a downside to us with ConnectWise. But Repair Shopper is working well, and we're now moving our accounting software from QuickBooks to the online company Xero. The integration's just much better for us.
Okay, and you mentioned you kind of you evaluate. How often do you reevaluate your tool set? Is it something you do on an annual basis, or maybe just wait until it's not working for you anymore? Do you have a process for that?
The process is not very official. Steve, Cloud Steve as we call him, is he's very good at he's always on the outlook for the new products and the new things for us. And once somebody like say Cloudberry came up with their integrations, we've seen that into the PSA software. We can pull the Cloudberry tickets right into the GFI software, and that was one of the reasons we went back and looked at it again. Okay, what makes the most sense? What things can we do every 12 to 24 months? What things can we do to make our life easier? And all the other vendors we're all working to do that for us. We just have to go back and look. So probably every 1 to 2 years, Steve's got some, we'll call it crazy or brilliant idea, as it may be.
All right. And then I guess from a customer acquisition standpoint, do you advertise? Do you do you do AdWords? Do you do Facebook? Do you do billboards? Anything like that, or is it all word of mouth?
We are actually 100% word of mouth. We have always been. We have never actually advertised. We put ourselves in the yellow pages for about a 10-year stint. They made it very inexpensive, and people were complaining they couldn't find our phone number. So before the internet was a big thing, right? So in reality, we've done no advertising. We support the local groups. The kids do the placemats and things from the school. So somebody would say, hey, you advertise, but we're advertising in places that aren't really going to find us. So the word of mouth has been great. And as a result, the word of mouth has helped us because there's a lot of a trust factor with that word of mouth referral. So it makes the conversion from one vendor to another a bit easier if they've got 3 people who say, hey, I know Jeff and PC Wizard. They do a great job and you can trust them.
Yeah, that seems to be the case, especially on if you're working with in a specific geographic area, or you work with small customers. The word of mouth is goes a long way because everybody talks.
and they do a lot of it now. But yeah, and we're limited. You said geographic area. We're about a 45-minute radius of where we are here in Torrington, Connecticut. For
Okay.
on-site stuff, that's about the 45 minutes to an hour. Needs to be cost
Yeah.
effective for all those involved. But with remote
Hmm.
support, we have customers in Oregon now. I mean, it's just
Oh,
kind of
wow.
interesting how they'll pick up and move, and then they just, hey, you can do it remotely, right? Sure, why not?
Yeah. Why not? Do you have any advice for someone getting started out in services? I mean, like you said, you were 14. Your dad took you to your first job, uh, but if you look at someone who's maybe in their career path, they're like, I think I can go out and do this on my own. I know everything that needs to be done. Is there any kind of advice that you would give them as they start this journey?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, Plan your steps. I'm not the one to plan everything out. We're kind of we will adjust quickly and
Hmm.
find the best way. That's kind of our way for our customers and ourselves. But plan and have great customer service. People will share your name and share their good experiences if they have something memorable from the experience. Just to show up
Okay.
and fix it and walk back out the door, you can do a fantastic job. But if they don't remember who you were, they can't tell their neighbor,
Yep.
they can't tell their business partner,
Hmm.
and your name doesn't get spread. So providing that positive experience and giving good advice, even if you're willing to do like we do, we'll go out and meet with a customer and we'll tell them, look, we're not a contract customer of yours. You're trying to bring us in to compete against somebody else. I'm going to give you some good
Hmm.
advice. Whether you use us or don't use us, leave them with a positive experience because eventually
Yeah.
they're going to remember your name and they're going to come back. And we found that to be a
Yep.
very valuable tool for us. And the other thing I would really recommend is, focus on a certain thing. Don't start out too broad. Get very good at something and then expand your base of knowledge. Good at everything but great at nothing is not a good thing as an MSP.
Yep. Yep. No, jack of all trades, master of none is one of the things we hear a lot in the IT business. So,
Absolutely.
from a technology perspective, are there certain technologies that you're excited about? New things or stuff you're looking forward to trying?
Oh yeah, the real improvement in AI that's been coming, the Google Homes and Alexas and the home automation stuff. It's actually a double-edged sword, if you ask me. And I love the integrations we're starting to get in the automations and the house guesses you're coming home because your phone took a turn 4 miles from the house. Oh, he's coming home at 5:30 for the end of his work day. I'm going to turn the lights on, turn everything on. That's fantastic.
Hmm.
And a lot of the opportunities we're going to see for integration of all parts of our life are very exciting. At the same time, it terrifies me because the fact you can turn on your crock pot and turn on your microwave, set your light settings for outside the house, open the garage door when it's easy to turn onto your road. That can go a very long way to
Yeah.
privacy invasions. If people get control of it, that's a hard thing. So it makes our job more important as MSPs and looking out for people's security. There'll be more for us to do, not less. I think it's going to be
Yeah.
a
I
different
know.
kind of more.
Yeah. And just it was interesting this week was the Microsoft Build conference and Google I/O, and the keynotes for both of them was all about AI. It was AI everything, and it's from the to their developers. So it's definitely what they're pushing for.
Yeah, look what the cars are going to do. I mean, you've got the Teslas that can
Hmm.
drive down the road by themselves for the most part, with oversight, of course. But I mean, that
Yeah.
technology has really come a long way, and there are just various companies that are driving forces for these technologies, and everybody else jumps on board, and you get a lot of innovation in a very short period of time. It's going to be very exciting.
Yeah. So I was going to ask you what technology you're most worried about. It seems like the thing you're most excited, you're also most worried about.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there are a lot of things, I guess, to worry about, but I mean, that AI can go a long way to making your life great or miserable, depending on what happens with it. You hate to use
Yeah.
scare tactics in movies and things, but every time you think of AI, you do have to think of the Terminator movie.
True. Once it becomes self-aware, we're all doomed.
Yeah, we're gonna hope that doesn't happen, Doug, but it better not for our sake.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll get some Asimov's rules in there to prevent those things from happening. So kind of going back to managed services, what do you think is the greatest part? What excites you about your job and what you do about being in the managed services area?
So I guess the most exciting part of this has been being more a part of their team. So a lot of our customers we have a very personal relationship with, but once you become an MSP, you're just more intertwined with them. So you get to know people
Mhm.
better and you get to look out for them better. So you have a good feeling of knowing that when you leave the office for the day, if something bad happens, you're going to know about it. 10 years
Yeah.
ago, we didn't have the notifications that server hard drives were going to fail, or breach testing was failing. You just didn't know it was going to happen. So you came in the next day to screaming people, and now as an MSP, you are aware of so much more of what's going on. You're in better control for yourself and for them. It's just it's a better experience for everybody. And that hits home because you just feel like you're doing a better job for somebody when you come to them and tell them that they're broken rather than the other way around.
Yeah, no, I agree that that kind of goes back to AI a little bit too, because you got some predictive analysis and those types of things to kind of prevent things before they happen.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a definite plus when you can come to the customer and say, hey, because of the things you're paying for and the technologies that are in place, we've prevented you from having an outage.
Yeah. So that's the best part. What about what's kind of the worst part? What keeps you up at night sometimes?
A lot of these vulnerabilities they found, the Intel microcode vulnerability and the Wi-Fi one we had a couple months ago, where we had to hit 3,000 access points in the course of 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
And when you're a break fix person, people are kind of understanding there's a line. It's like getting your car fixed. It's okay. There's 7,000 cars in the queue, and they're going to get to you. It's not a big deal. It's just your car. But now with computers, everybody expects, hey, I'm vulnerable. I want to be fixed in 45 seconds. And as a small MSP, it's a challenge because you can service a lot more customers. But the technology helps you as an MSP help many more people with less staff. And the problem becomes when you have one of those major issues, everybody's not angry, but people are expecting a very fast turnaround. When you're small, it's hard to hit 1 million of them at once. The technology helps us do that, and we certainly get it done in a reasonable amount of time. But those are the things that make you lose sleep at night, are when those big things hit, people want to have it done instantly. It's instant gratification. That's how our life is these days. So I guess I wouldn't say
definitely
the worst part, but it's something you think about.
Yep, I definitely agree. And then, kind of start wrapping things up here. From a community perspective, do you network with other MSPs? Are there places you go online to talk and chat, to kind of bounce ideas off the wall? Do you kind of have I guess, from an MSP community standpoint, where do you participate?
So we actually will look, we will read a lot of the posts out in Reddit on various things. We have a couple local MSPs in the state that from past employees and friends we actually communicate with back and forth. The phone will ring or you get a text message saying, hey, have you seen this before? Hey, we're having this problem. Some of us use the same tools, and which is very helpful. As far as real involvement, we don't have any our own forum pages. We participate in the Cloudberry stuff. Any of the available resources we're happy to participate in, because it really is a community involvement. Why reinvent the wheel if somebody else has already had the problem?
True. Great. All right, so now we've come to the fun part.
All right.
We've got
this whole thing was fun. What are you talking about?
Yeah. This is what we call our rapid fire round. So it's 5 questions. They're easy. It's a 1-word answer. Don't think about it too much, and we'll go from there and see how it works. All right.
The clock starts now, right?
All right. Here we go. iOS or Android?
iOS.
Mac, Linux, or Windows?
Windows.
Amazon or Azure?
Amazon.
Local backups or cloud, or both?
Cloud. Oh, both. Both.
Okay. And then finally, printer support or vendor cold calls, which is worse?
Oh, printer support.
That's how you started out.
Like, you were waiting for the other one. I got to give you printer support on that one.
That's what got you into business. So
very clever.
So, Jeff, it's been great chatting with you. I really appreciate your insights. Everything you've talked about here, and anything in closing that we may have missed, or you want to impart some knowledge to the people?
I will say this will sound like a sales thing on a Cloudberry call, but in all honesty, the Cloudberry products and the backup platform has evolved so much since we started using it 4 years ago. Kudos to you guys for doing a fantastic job developing it and reaching out to us in the community. We have had a lot of, you guys have heard from Steve 1 million times for requests and bug fixes, and your developers have reached out directly. We've had a lot of great luck and success working with you guys. And anybody who's getting started, if you need a backup product, this is obviously the most flexible one. We just get a lot of value from it, and the support and developers behind it are fantastic. So if anybody has any questions, feel free. We're always happy to share our good experience.
Thanks, you're making me blush. And
And
with
welcome
that,
to the team, Doug. I know this is a new stop for you, right? You were over at
yeah,
was it Veeam, right?
yeah, I did 9.5 years at Veeam, and then I actually took some time off. I was with Veeam, I was traveling a lot. Great. I still love Veeam. All my friends have been going to VeeamON. I'm going to go to the conference. So, no hard feelings. It was just kind of time for me to take a little bit of a break. And then I found Cloudberry with actually the help of the Veeam co-founders, and it's been a fun ride. So,
well, welcome to the dark side, right?
something like that.
Hey,
All
thanks.
right.
Really appreciate the
Thanks,
opportunity.
Jeff. All right. Have a good one.
You too.